Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. Today, we're going to have a really interesting conversation for you, and I can't wait to introduce you to our two guests today. For those of you that don't know me, maybe you're new to the show, I'm Lori LeBay. I'm the founder of Alzheimer Speaks, and my mom had dementia for 30 years, so that's how I entered this space. Never thought I would leave my career of 25 years in real estate, but it's like I was never there. That's how much I love what I do today. You see, Alzheimer Speaks was created to raise the voice of everyone so that we can find the services, products, and tools that we need. I just think it's so critical for us to give comfort to others and to ease the painful process of finding what it is we need. We are, bottom line, an advocacy-based company that provides multiple platforms. So we have the audio show of Alzheimer Speaks. We also do these video interviews as well. I have a program called Dementia Chats where I interview people with dementia so we can hear directly from them on how they would like to be treated, what services they would like to see. And we also help companies expand their brand footprint by leveraging all of our various platforms. So if you're a company who wants to be in this space, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. I also each time like to thank our audience because you guys have been so kind and so loyal. You see, your likes, your clicks, and your shares have really broadened our footprint. And with that, you have helped so many people. Because a lot of people on our Twitter accounts, our Facebook friends, our LinkedIn colleagues, we don't know all their circumstances. We don't know what all they're dealing with. And the more we can push information out, I think the more comfort people feel that it's okay to reach out, that there's others like them out there in need of these services, products, and tools. So again, thank you so much. Now, today we're going to be talking with Nancy Connor in the white blouse over here. She is the founder and CEO of Smart Adaptive Clothing, which is based in Philadelphia. Prior to this, Nancy has 20 years in sales and marketing management in the healthcare space. And her responsibilities included strategic planning and sales objectives, both domestic and international, coaching, managing budgets, forecasting, branding, pricing, and a certified professional in selling skills as a trainer. So Nancy has received a ton of awards throughout her career, such as President's Club, Manager of the Year, Circle of Excellence. So this is a lady who knows what the heck she's doing. She holds her bachelor's degree from Temple University, and she enjoys CrossFit and yoga. I was just talking about that today, saying I've got to start my yoga, and spending time with family and friends. And I'm so excited to have you on the show, Nancy. I was lucky enough to meet you when I was out in New Jersey for a conference, and so impressed with your smart adaptive clothing that you have developed. So thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's amazing. Thank you. It was great to meet you too, Lori.
Great. Well, I'm going to introduce your sidekick here, who is Christie Mandia, and she is your marketing and media relations specialist, and she's also based out in Philadelphia. And in 2008, she formed the Hanjaman Group, which is a full-service marketing and consulting company specializing in strategic public relations and event management and luxury brand development as well. Christie has also been a weekly columnist for the phillyvoice.com. And she grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia and now lives in Montgomery County with her husband and her son. So welcome, Christie. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for the introduction.
Well, thanks for joining us today. I, like I said, I was just so impressed with this brand, and I think it's such a high need out there, and people don't know necessarily where to go for adaptive clothing and such. But, Nancy, what motivated you, to even start the brand?
Great question. Thanks, Lori. So what motivated me to start this brand was my father. And my father struggled with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I have to mention Christie's my niece, so it's my father and Christie's grandfather. Right. I'm very proud to share that. So while my father was diagnosed, he immediately went into assisted living, as in the next day. And he broke his hand. And then, unfortunately, he broke his hip, the same hip, 2 times.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, it was tragic. It was awful. And at that point, the assisted living home couldn't dress my father in his button-down dress shirts, or like we like to say, his signature slack. He was dressed in pull-up sweatpants and pullover sweatshirt. And I thought, there has to be another way. And we didn't have any solutions. We couldn't find of any options. So we went with it. And unfortunately, my dad passed in the summer of 2016. And last December, I said, I'm leaving my career. I'm going to do something about it. There has to be another way. So we're starting with shirts for men, blouses for ladies, and the shirts look traditional. We're actually wearing blouses from Smart Adaptive Clothing,
which are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Very stylish. Yeah.
So we keep the buttons on the front placket so it looks traditional. And the buttons are on the cuff, but the Velcro is the secret weapon behind the placket and on the cuffs. So you can hear the Velcro. And you just unfasten and fasten, and it's that quick. So that's a motivating factor.
Yeah, I remember when I met you, you had said, I'm doing this because my dad always liked to dress nice, and that was taken away from him, where he couldn't be, dress as the man he always was. And that had to be just so difficult for him and for you all to see, because that's a huge part of who we are.
It is. That's a good point. And, that was other motivating factors, because we want someone, at that point it was my dad, but we want someone, man, woman, child, to have that sense of self, to have that identity, to keep your dignity. And we want that for our loved ones. People want it for themselves. And, it's a simple solution, but it's a solution to a problem that's facing 1 in 5 Americans are disabled. So I'm kind of taking that step from my dad and the Alzheimer's, but 1 in 5 American adults has some type of a disability. And we can help these folks, and we can help them remain and keep their sense of self, that dignity, and to help the caregiver dressing another person.
Well, when you hear that statistic, it just comes to mind of like how well we hide that stuff.
Right.
Because we wouldn't think that number is that high. But I mean, a person with arthritis, I know I'm pushing 60 now, and it's like my fingers don't do what they used to do. When I try to button something, or I'm trying to put on a necklace or whatever it is, it's like they don't work the way they used to. They're stiffer. I don't have that fine of motor skill as I used to have. And yet no one would know that I have any difficulty with that, unless I buttoned up wrong or something. I don't know, but which could happen. But, having Velcro, it would just be so much easier, to be able to dress versus those, like on your blouses, those teeny, they're small in my eyes because my eyes are getting old now too, but they're more difficult to deal with. And maybe it has to do with even having nails, before I didn't have fake nails, it was easier to maneuver that stuff too. And I don't wear my nails, overly long, and some people have them very long, and I don't know how they type or get dressed or brush their teeth,
That's a good point. But we're hearing that a lot about the buttons specifically, Lori, and the dexterity, the neuropathy. So I just wanted to pull out one of Ben's shirts and show how easy it is to unfasten and refasten. Wow. But to your point, you don't have to struggle with the buttons, whether you're a man with large hands or a lady with large hands or neuropathy, dexterity. This is easy. It's 1, 2, 3.
But there still are buttons to keep it looking like a traditional shirt.
Which is nice. Which is really nice. Now, one of the things I have to ask that I didn't think of before, but, with the Velcro, how do they wash, in terms of, because I've had a couple of Velcro things that have gotten in with sweaters, and if I don't have it sealed, all of a sudden it snags, and it's nobody's fault but my own, because I should have known that ahead of time. But how does that work?
We've been there too. So suggest that you fasten it, and it's on the care label. So we suggest that you fasten the placket down the front of the shirt and the cuffs prior to washing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe wash with multiple blouses or multiple shirts and keep them fastened. That way you'll be fine, and then you won't have any issues with the Velcro collecting or catching something.
Yeah. And I suppose if you're really paranoid, you could just get a mesh bag and put them inside of that. I would still probably do the Velcro, but just as a little added precaution if somebody was nervous about something like that. But, I mean, when we sort our laundry, we got to think of those things no matter what, if it's heavy and delicate things. And this is just one more thing in the process there, but it gives you so much more freedom. Which is absolutely wonderful. As far as benefits for the clothing, Christie, do you have any other comments or anything that we missed?
Well, I think that's what Nancy hit on, a lot of the important things, but I think that just to emphasize the demeanor change that happens when when you get news that you're not able to dress yourself, or you don't have the capability to, it really does. And we saw it firsthand with my grandfather, and it was a man who is seen wearing basically a suit and tie every day of his life, and then later in life a button down and slacks, and to see him in a sweatshirt was just completely shocking, and I think to him and to us. So it seems like a superficial thing, but it really isn't, because it's something that you can preserve, the happiness and independence in people. So that's the major benefit, obviously, is to the user, but also to the caregiver who is having trouble dressing the person who is disabled, whether it's a long-term situation or even a short-term disability. There's benefits to both people.
Yeah. Another product I could think of is just bras for women. I remember my mom just having a heck of a time, and she was not going braless. She was going to wear, and I mean, we tried every which way, for the bra, but she just didn't have the dexterity for those hooks, to be able to do that. So even if we had one in the front, it still just didn't work. And that was such a battle, and she would get so frustrated and so angry, and she would make comments, these damn bras, and it wasn't the bra, it wasn't the bra, it was her. She just wasn't able to do that anymore. But it was horrible to watch her become so frustrated with something that was so important to her. And I haven't found anything out there to be able to help with that. So that might be another thing to add on to your product list. Now, how do you market these things, Christie? How do you reach people so that they know that you're there?
Well, we are marketing the product in a variety of ways, but first of all is through experts like yourself, who are, talking to these audiences and really telling people, giving them helpful tips of, how they can deal with their family members or they themselves going through that. So reaching influencers in the community and telling them, educating them about our product. Also trade shows and expos and events like where Nancy and you met. So being there and having a presence in marketing. Also, the website, smartadaptiveclothing.com, and social media channels at Smart Adaptive Clothing. We are, reaching people organically too through recommendations and word of mouth. People have used the product and are sharing their stories and testimonials. So we've been lucky to have a multi-pronged approach, and we continue to try and do things and reach people that we can help. And we're also participating in the Walk to End Alzheimer's. We have a team, so through fundraising and doing things where we can expose the product to people, that's what our main goal is, and just get these shirts in as many hands that we can help as possible.
Well, and it's funny, I was just interviewing another group, and we were talking about how difficult it is to find the resources you need, because you don't even know what resources are available, so you don't even know what to look for. And that's why it's so important for our audience to share with people what they've found, because you don't know what you need till you need it, and then you don't even know, well, what would they call it? You know, what would I look under? I mean, it's complicated and it's frustrating. And the last thing a person with any type of disability or a person caring for someone, you know, the last thing they have is extra time to rummage through. You know, so we've got to make this as easy as possible for them. One thing that you guys might want to do is look into a company called Care to Plan. Well, it's actually Provalence, but their product is called Care to Plan. And it's very inexpensive. And they are doing a resource directory, dementia specific. They'll have other ones for heart disease and all different types of things. But the one I'm dealing with is dementia specific, and it's a direct link to you. So it's kind of a front and back card and goes right to your website. So there's no middleman. And, you know, when I ran across it, I thought, oh my gosh, I wanted this 35 years ago when we started with my mom. Where are you? You know, because people need to have this information at the ready. I would have loved to have something like this for my mom, you know, because everything had to be overhead. You know, we got rid of the buttons and all of that stuff, and everything, you know, was, you know, loose and tunicky or whatever, because it was just too complicated as the disease progressed with her. And yet she would have loved to have something stylish. You know, I mean, we kept her styling as much as we could, but, you know, just that independence. It's so important to our self-esteem and who we are and how we feel and, you know, how we walk. I don't think we understand the depths that dignity has and the forms that give us dignity and empower us. And I think we all have to look a little bit closer within ourselves and others in terms of making sure that we're always empowering people to be the best they can be. That feels good, you know? It feels good to everybody. Puts us all in a little better mood. Nancy, do you know of anyone other than, you know, your father who would use this? I'm assuming you do because you started a company, but other than your dad, did you really see and know of people that had a need prior?
That is a very good question, Lori. And I have to say, for the first time, I'm sharing publicly that I too am adaptive. So at a young age, I was a little girl and I had corrective surgery for curvature of the spine, scoliosis. And at age 12, I was told if you don't have this surgery, it will be fatal. So I made the decision with my parents, and I truly felt like I did. I said, let's do it. And I had complete confidence in my surgeon, and I still thank him in my mind every day. And that was in 1980. So I was in a body cast from my chin to my hips, the back of my head, for 9 months.
Wow.
So yes, and unfortunate, I would do it again. I would do it again. So I thought, you know what, Nancy, why aren't you sharing this? And I talked to Christie about it, and it's part of the story. It's part of me. And I had to wear oversized clothes, and back in 1980, I was wearing track suits. Sorry, it just cracks me up. The term cracks me up. But I did. I wore tracksuits and these big T-shirts. What 12-year-old girl wants to go through that? And, you know, it could be a 40-year-old woman, a 40-year-old man. So I get it. And someone going through that same situation could also wear adaptive clothing. Mm-hmm. And I want people to have that sense of self. And, you know, everything we're talking about, and Christie with the social media, we've had people reach out to us, some professors, and have shared articles they've done and done research with focus groups. And studies show how people with a disability are overlooked for a job or overlooked for a promotion with the exact same credentials as someone who doesn't have a disability. And how is that right? You know, it's apples to apples because you're not wearing maybe a button-down blouse or top. You're overlooked. Or you don't even get to be part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And other studies show that we can cite that you truly, when you look a certain way, you feel a certain way, and you perform. And I think we all know that, and you're talking about your mom, and we're talking about friends, but that's also what's driving smart adaptive clothing, to give a voice to someone who doesn't have the voice, or to empower someone. to provide a solution that can help so many people regardless of the reason why.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I appreciate you sharing that, personal story, because I think they're powerful. I think personal stories are so powerful, and it gives people better insight into, who's behind this company and why they're doing it. They really get this, they get not fitting in. They've been there, they've done it, and how it feels. And I think so often we just get used to, okay, put the sweatshirt on and the sweats because that's all we know. We give up to it. And you didn't do that. You said, I can do better. I can do better for people. And that's really cool, that you just didn't say, okay, well, I don't need it anymore. Dad's not with us anymore. I'm going to move on with my life. You took that experience and said, and put it together with your own and said, no, we can make a better world. We can make people feel better. And that is way, way cool. Way, way cool. So I think so often we're so inclined to just get through it, get past it, and walk away from our experience instead of really learning from it and taking that knowledge to improve the world. And I think every single person who is listening to this show or not has that power of one to make a difference. They've learned things, they've been through things, and everyone could take that knowledge and tweak it and do something with it to empower others to feel better about their lives. And that's just an amazing, amazing thing. Christie, you have to be pretty proud of her for what she's doing and to be part of this. Really, to me, it's a movement.
It really is. I mean, first of all, as her niece, I'm obviously proud, and our whole family is, of the work she's doing, because it's great work, and she's at a point where she's really at a point in her life where she can help a lot of people, and it's just amazing to watch. So yeah, that, and also just being a part of an inspired brand is really great too, because it's not just, even if she wasn't my family, I would still feel like we were a part of something, because we're helping, restore something in people that will really make a difference in their day-to-day life. So on two levels, I'm proud. As a niece and as, a marketing person.
Well, cool. Christie, I'm going to throw this to you first, and then I'll throw it back to Nancy. I think we've touched on this a little bit, but why do you believe in this product and that the company will be successful? What's at your heart?
I think that part of it is that it's going to provide a solution to people, and it's an answer to solving people's problems. So it really is, it's not a hard sell in some ways, because it's going to help a loved one. People will give it a shot. So that's what I think. It's not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. It's not a company that's out for itself in every way. It's a company that is really looking to help people, and I think that that's why it's going to be successful. I think people will spread the word, and in audiences like yours, people want to help each other. So, and we want to, spread the good word, and that's really why I think that it's going to catch on.
Right. Nancy, how about you? What do you think is going to be behind the company being successful?
I have lots of things, Lori. First and foremost, I'd like to echo what Christie said. And the main reason is there's a need, there's a problem, there are multiple problems. And we do use the word movement, and it's inclusiveness and empowering people. And just to kind of put some numbers out there and put it in perspective, in 2017, the global apparel market was $1.39 trillion, okay? And the folks need this clothing have been overlooked, and we don't want that. So there is a need, and it's the reason why, the driving force of the motivating factor, kind of circling back to my dad and recognizing, well, he had issues and he had the Alzheimer's, but it's not limited to Alzheimer's. It's folks with a disability, whether it's long-term or short-term. Can it help you if you have a frozen shoulder or shoulder surgery? Mm-hmm. And do you have neuropathy? And one of my testimonials, one of our testimonials, but someone I was speaking to last week, he's a surgeon who has neuropathy. And he loved this idea because now he doesn't have to worry about buttoning. He can simply use the Velcro. So it's providing a solution to folks who need it, who have been overlooked, have that sense of inclusiveness, empowering. And when people dress a certain way, they feel a certain way, and then they perform a certain way. And we want all of that to be better.
Yeah, I remember years ago, but I used to work with the developmentally disabled. They had their dexterity, but they still weren't able to maybe dress themselves and still needed help because they couldn't do the buttons. And so they were wearing the sweatshirts and the sweatpants and things like that. And so disabilities come in a lot of different ways. Now, one question I wanted to ask you was about your clothing, because you're both adults. Do you do children's clothes as well? Because, you know, there are younger people or smaller people in need as well.
So we are not doing children's clothing right now, but it's definitely something we want to do. But we this clothing does fit teenagers, and you know, the small sizes can fit a teenage person, but we don't have specific children's clothing yet. But that
Okay. Well, I just think this is fabulous work that you guys are doing. And like I said, I was so honored to meet you and so excited to see, because I could actually touch and feel. And I mean, it's nice clothing, you know, it's not shoddy. It's not me melting on some Velcro to something and not doing a good job with it. I'm just very excited for you and what you're doing and what you're going to be doing for so many people out in the world. Is there anything else that you want to add? And I'm going to throw that to Christie first and then to Nancy.
I was actually just saying to Nancy, we should probably mention, so one of the reasons that we've been so lucky to be fast-tracked is through Nancy's relationships with certain partners that I'll let her speak to.
Thanks. So thanks again, Lori. It was a pleasure meeting you too. You're amazing, doing amazing.
Yeah, thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I mean, you've made a difficult topic fun and enjoyable and light. And, you know, you allow people to break down barriers. You know, you may even remember, this is off topic of your question, but even with the Blondie, when my father couldn't remember my name, and I told the room that he called me Blondie, and I loved it. And that's okay. Thank you for all of your work and including us and inviting us today. One other item I wanted to mention that Christie was just pointing to is we're so grateful that we've been working with Dame John, one of the sharks on Shark Tank.
Oh, cool.
He's so cool. And so I bought into this package that Damon has for entrepreneurs, and it does fast track you. So rather than learning everything on your own, it says it takes 7 years, you fast track it. So I actually got to meet him, and we've done some business summits, and I got to pitch in front of his investors, manufacturers,
right?
Yeah,
and vendors. So
I made some great relationships from that and contacts. So we're so lucky. And our clothing, we're happy you love it. We love it. It's made in Philadelphia. They're about 20 minutes away from us, so we have a great relationship. And they're family run. So we are just hitting all the bells and whistles and thank you. And we just can't wait to get this product to the right people and help change lives.
Oh, that's fantastic. And, you know, I've seen some of his seminars and stuff because I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I thought, oh, that looks really interesting and stuff, but I was traveling. But it's neat to hear someone who's been through that. And because I love watching Shark Tank. I just think it's so much fun to see what people are doing, and then to hear from you that, you know, you're benefiting from the strategies and the connections and can be able to get things pushed out, get these products pushed out at a faster pace, because they are so greatly needed. And, you know, and people shouldn't feel ashamed, because, you know, this is just about making life easier, empowering you to feel more independent and better about yourself. And, you know, there should be no shame in that at all. But I think so often when someone has a disability, they feel less than, and you're really making them feel equal. And that's pretty dang cool.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to comment on, Christie, before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think we hit everything.
Well, I am just, like I said, thrilled to have the two of you on. And the website is smartadaptiveclothing.com. That's smartadaptiveclothing.com. And the phone number is 201-519-04 9498. And you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Smart Adaptive Clothing. Thank you so much, ladies. You're brilliant, and I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you.